Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Tonight we have a amazing interview for you today. This guy has an incredible story. I recently just learned about him. I recently just learned about his story. It's more than the story, it's a testimony. So tonight we're going to be talking to Daryl Thompson, who is the owner of Unifier TV. That's the website, as well as his YouTube channel. I'll have all that down below in the description box so that you can follow him, follow his website. He's got merchandise. He is a motivational speaker. We're going to go into how he got there. He is a conservative. He is a speaker for the truth. He fights for human trafficking. I mean, he does it all, but he has the most amazing story on how he got to where he is today. And I've really just discovered recently that I want to use my platform to highlight people like this and make sure that we tell the stories that nobody's hearing. I mean, of course, we hear about these bigger names, and we celebrate their success, but there's so many people in this conservative arena in particularly, and even outside the conservative arena, that have amazing stories. And I think people just need to hear them. I enjoy hearing them, so I want to share it with you guys. So before I bring Daryl into the conversation, I'm going to read a little bit of a little blurb about him. And this is straight from his website. I thought it was really good. So I'll read that, and then we will bring Daryl into the interview. So his website says, "My passion for the well-being of others can be summed up in one powerful and very much heartfelt word: raw. I was born with a passion for justice. I laid out my career path at the age of 6 when I told my mother I wanted to become a police officer. I have always had a soft spot for the weak, less fortunate, belittled, abused, battered, abandoned, and bullied individuals in this world. I no longer use the word unfortunately when discussing the fact that I place myself behind the career lifelong dream 8-ball. The poor decisions I've made in the past have completely shaped my mind, body, and soul. I would not be the man I am today without God using the mistakes I have made to shed light on the demons I needed to exorcise. If I had not come to terms with the past pains, hangups, and vices that bound me for most of my life, I could not do what I do. I disagree with the notion that everything happens for a reason. However, we do put ourselves in positions and situations that are outside of God's plans for us. If we desire to get back on track and we diligently seek Him, He can and will right the course for us and put us where He intended for us to be. Regardless of our mistakes, God can make good on our errors so well that it will feel like things were designed to work out that way. I am not one to enjoy being in front of a group of people without trembling and sweating. Despite the natural stage fright, I have always possessed a natural presence that ran alongside of it. When God lays something on my heart to address a topic, I must do it. Even if I am unsure exactly how to address it, I wing it, and God does His thing." So, without further ado, I introduce you, Daryl. Hey, Daryl, how are you doing?
Doing okay. Doing okay. As you're reading that,
Good.
it was crazy. My eyes started to well up a little bit hearing someone else read it.
Mine too.
Yeah, I almost
I
forgot I
know,
wrote
mine
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know what? I wanted to read it because it was like just summed up kind of what we're going to talk about today. And the last part where you said, when God lays something on your heart to address, you must do it. It's kind of funny because you and I were actually supposed to do a reverse interview on your channel where you were going to talk to me.
Yeah.
And you called, or you reached out to me and you said, "Hey, I saw your interview with Suni, and how about you interview me first?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that." And when you and I spoke, you actually said to me the story that you were telling me had never actually been told on your own platform. This was going to be the first time you talk about it. So
Yes. Yeah. I can't
I'm
lie, I'm
honored.
slightly nervous, but I feel like it's necessary, you know?
Don't be nervous. It'll be just like we were on the phone, just
Yeah.
chit-chatting. Don't mind all these people coming into the into the conversation.
Yeah.
Before we get started with the conversation, I want to say hello to everybody who is joining the live. Please make sure as you join the live, make sure to like the video as it goes along, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're sharing it. There's going to be probably something in here for everybody, you guys. When I say Daryl has probably been through it all, he has been through it all. So share this with your friends. Make sure to comment. We'll address any questions that you guys have for Daryl at the end of the video. And yeah, so let's get started. You ready?
I am.
Okay. All right. So I like to do things a little bit unconventional. And before we go into your life prior to now, why don't you tell us what it is you're doing? How is your life now?
My life is good. Yeah, of course, life has setbacks, so I'm still recovering from a couple of vehicle accidents just this year, two this year. And so, but overall, life is good. Heads and shoulders better than where I was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe just 1 year ago, better than that. Um, so my trade, I'm actually a AV tech. So I do camera systems, uh, speakers, TVs, all that kind of good stuff. All that tech stuff people have in their house, I can pretty much do most, if not all of it. Programming, mounting, all that kind of stuff. I have a 5-year-old son, and I have a 16-year-old daughter. No, I'm sorry, 15-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
Should be 16 next year. And so, yeah, we'll get into the dynamics of those relationships and things like that. But yeah, things are a little slow as far as my trade. But in the meantime, I just, make it work.
Mhm.
Do what I can.
Gotcha. So you're married, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to say your wife's name because I know you kind of want to keep some things private, but you are
Mhm.
married.
All right.
Daryl actually lives like 10 minutes from me, which is crazy. We actually probably could have done an in-person interview now that I think about it.
I don't know why
Um,
I didn't think of that.
I
I don't know why.
don't know. It's more interesting this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so tell us about your platform that you have, like on YouTube and your website. Like, what is that? Tell us a little bit about that.
For YouTube, I'm actually a little slower on that. I was hesitant to put anything on YouTube, because the censorship, and the censorship is the same on most every other platform, but YouTube at the time I was interested in starting it was worse than any platform I'd ever heard about. Um, so it when I did decide to do it, it was mainly just a placeholder because I was
Hmm.
posting everything to Instagram. Some videos were too long. It's like the file sizes were too long, and too large, and videos were too long. People weren't watching it. So I need somewhere else to post these where people actually gonna take the time to watch it. And I was like, you know what? My favorite commentator, political commentator of all time, ABL, it seems to be doing well in YouTube. Why not just give it a shot? So I was
Hmm.
like, if people don't watch it, oh well, at least I have a place to have my content for when people do watch. So I recently
Right.
broke 100 subscribers. I'm like 106, 107 now. So for me, that's awesome. It's more than
Yep.
I expected. And
Yep.
so yeah, it's gaining traction, but I use it mainly just a placeholder, and Instagram is my main platform. And my website
Hmm.
has everything. All my
Hmm.
videos, my merchandise is on there. My audio podcast is on there, but you can also find it on Spotify. Spotify and Apple Podcast. So, everything that's on every one of my platforms is on my website. That's
Hmm.
another placeholder as well, but I use that mainly to feature the merchandise.
But why did you decide to create this platform? Why did you decide to start speaking out about what you speak about?
Honestly, it was through prophecy. I've had it prophesied over me numerous times all over my life. Twice in church when I was really young. I was standing in front of church. Um, we're new to the church, and you go up there and say something on the microphone. So I'm sweating. I'm wearing a suit 2 sizes too big for me because it was my brother's suit, and I'm up there in front of the church sweating, trying to introduce myself. And I didn't even say much. I just said, "My name is Daryl, and I like basketball," and that was it. So then, this lady came up. This is the first time it happened. This lady came up out of nowhere. She said, "Hey, look, when you were talking, the first lady that props out of me said she saw an aura around me, and angels
Oh.
were on each side of me. And she said, you were called to preach." I was like, okay, I already don't like being looked at. There's no way I'm gonna get in front of a congregation. So I left that alone. I got older, a few years later, exact same thing. New church, another lady prophesied over me. She said, I see angel wings behind you. I see angel wings behind you, and you also have an aura around you. And I'm like, here we go again. What's this about? So eventually I started to enjoy that prophecy. I started taking my Bible to school and, trying to, the people that were bullying me, I was reading verses to them. It was crazy. And the defining moment where I stopped taking my Bible to school, I was in art class and this one guy couldn't stand me. And just for no reason, he couldn't stand me. He took my Bible and because they used to call me Martin Luther King at school. And so he took my Bible and threw it across the art room and all the pages came falling out everywhere. And it just devastated me. I broke down, stopped taking my Bible to school. But I still had it in here, but I didn't have it physically. And so, I still kept that dream, but then I got older, and that's how my other dream came about, where my mother was being abused. I had a soft spot for children who were starving and people who needed justice and proper justice. And that's when I wanted to be a cop. I said, you know what? These guys are volunteering their lives. Yeah, they're paid, but they're volunteering to put their nose in other people's business for life as a career to try to rectify situations. That is that's impressive. So I could do that. I think I'm a good guy. I try to be. And yeah, ever since I was 6 years old, I told my mother I wanted to be a cop, and then I was going to be a cop slash preacher, and I don't know. I wanted to do it all, and I eventually let go of the preacher thing and said cop only. But things took a turn.
Yeah. So to somebody just listening to this, they're thinking, oh, his life sounds pretty good, right? Sounds pretty typical, was in church, mentioned mother influence, all this other stuff. But in speaking to you, I was like floored at the stuff that you were telling me. So let's now move back to growing up. Tell me about your home life, mom, dad, siblings. Tell me about just the beginning of your life as a kid when you first came into this world, how that was.
Well, growing up, it was just I'm the youngest of three. It was me, my mother, my brother, and my sister. And my mother was married a couple times, but never really had a steady father figure through my whole life. It was just her. And she did the best she could, but she herself was unhealthy. She had been abused and she had addiction issues. And when she wasn't on the dope, she was abusing prescription medications and, I mean, horribly abusive. I mean, physically, mentally, emotionally, every way you can think of. And so, that's really what my entire childhood summed up to. I promise if I were to try to sit here, we could sit here for the next hour and you could ask me right now, what is your most favorite childhood memory? Tell me at the end of the show. I wouldn't have an answer for you. I would have no answer for you because I don't have fond memories of my childhood. I really don't. Tell you the God's honest truth. People have typical stories of Christmas time. We sat around. Yeah, we did that, but it wasn't special. It wasn't special because it came with some conviction. My mother spent all this money on toys for us and then would make us feel horrible for wanting toys in the first place. I spent all my money on you guys. I'm like, where's the receipt? I'll take it back. It's like I don't have fond childhood memories at all. And my mother being married, one of the guys was just the absolute worst. Complete monster. Complete monster. He didn't scar me for life. But over half of my life is damaged because it was something I held on to for 10 years. He liked to wrestle. And this is a story I didn't tell you yet. I didn't go into detail with you. But he liked to wrestle. He's a very immature guy. He liked to wrestle around. So one day I was going into the next room. My mother asked me to get a comb or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to the next room, but it was in the front of the house. Her room was in the back of the house. I had to go past him first. And he wrestles too hard. So my initial thought was, I don't want to go near him. He's gonna hurt me because he wrestles too hard. This was the first and only time that this had happened. So he gets me, he's wrestling me, and I'm trying to break away. He's a grown man. I'm little. I'm what 10? I don't know. 8, something like that. And I couldn't break away from him. And so, he gets me down on all fours, and I couldn't break away. I'm trying to elbow him, couldn't get him off, and he becomes erect. And it's almost like he wanted to pretend the shorts weren't in the way, because if the shorts weren't in the way, he would have penetrated me. But I could still feel him trying to. It's almost like he was trying to push his way through the shorts. And I never had that happen to me before. And to this day, I feel like if my mother didn't call me to see what was taking me so long, he would have made it happen. He and what made it so much worse, the memory, was the grunting, the groaning as he was doing that. He was enjoying himself
Mhm.
and pulling me closer to it, and he was getting more erect. And so yeah. And he told me if I told my mother that he would kill me in my sleep. And so I couldn't sleep. All my grades took a tumble because I couldn't pay attention. I couldn't pay attention to my grades. I couldn't pay attention to schoolwork because I couldn't stay awake. I wake up in the middle of the night. He's standing at the foot of my bed or next to me with a pillow in his hand, about to smother me. So I couldn't tell my mother. I didn't tell her because he's going to kill me, or I was going to be the cause of their divorce. And as a kid, you don't want that. You don't want yourself to be the blame for your parents splitting up, no matter how good your reasoning is. So I didn't say anything.
So let me ask you a question. Did he eventually um, have inappropriate sexual relations with you?
That was his first attempt, and I think the only reason he didn't say anything, I don't know if he thought I was going to be okay with it or what. But before that moment, he was always touchy. He was always touchy and grabby, and it. That's why when my brother would do that good game where they pat you on the butt, that's why it would bother me so much because of how he liked to be too touchy and rub his body up against me as he's trying to go past me, and I could feel his erection. It I didn't know it still bothered me until now. So
Hmm. Hmm.
just feeling that on my leg as he's walking past me. So it was never to the degree of what he did, but that was the last time when he went that far. And I thank God that my mother called me because I don't know how much farther it would have gone if she didn't call me to wonder where I was.
So how long was your mother with this guy that you were living constantly in fear of what he was going to do to you?
Golly, they were I don't even remember. Less than 10 years, but I'd say
Oh,
more than
that's a long
5.
time.
Yeah. More than 5, I would say. They eventually
Wow.
separated and then he eventually died. And it wasn't until he died that I told her what happened.
And what was her reaction when you told her? Well, first of all, what made you tell her finally? How old were you? What
I
was the
was
moment that
18.
you decided?
I
Hmm.
was 18 when I told her because I was
Hmm.
engaged at the time. My engagement broke up. It was a bad breakup, horrible breakup. And my daughter now, she was 6 months old at the time. And her mother took her back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin with her and said, hey, this is my kid. But she cheated on me with numerous guys. But she takes my kid back. I'm like, I didn't do anything to you anyway. So I was depressed,
We'll get
severely
into
depressed.
that. We'll get into
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I had a nervous breakdown and I just told her. Honestly, I just told her. Just sat there in the chair next to her bed and I just told her.
Mm.
And at the time she was married to somebody else. And he was an idiot. But so she's she got mad at me. She got mad. Why didn't you tell me before? I can't believe you didn't tell. And she cussing at me. Why didn't you? I can't believe you didn't tell me before. I said I didn't want to be the reason for y'all divorcing. I don't want to hear all that. I said, well, he said he's gonna kill me. That's another good reason. How about that? And it's like her reaction is exactly what I expected. That's why I didn't say anything. And even after 10
Mm.
years, you're still mad. It's like, think about what I went through. You're mad because you didn't know. I'm disturbed because I went through it. And so I just didn't appreciate her response. And I think that's
Mm.
when our relationship first took a turn, me and my mother.
Mm.
That scarred me for a long time.
So you said that you grew up not having your father in your life, but like, was he ever like? Were you ever able to contact him? Did you ever have any steady male figure in your life that you were able to kind of look up to or guide you
No,
at
tell
any
you the truth.
point? No
No,
point. At no point in
no,
your life. Wow.
not at all.
Wow.
My mother was married twice. She had long-term relationships. She was never married to my dad. She was married to my brother's dad before I was born. So, but as far as during my lifetime that I remember, she was married twice. The first one I told you about. The second one, he and I went nose to nose 3 times because he was abusive towards my mother. And so he was no good. He would run off with all the money, go gamble the money away, and she would let him come back. I finally got away from both of them, got my own place. And the same day I got my own place, signed my own lease for the first time, she calls me from California and says, "Hey, I'm leaving him. I'm on my way." So I ended up going right back to the leasing office, got a 2-bedroom apartment, moved her in. 2 weeks later, he comes in too, without even asking me.
Wow.
And so now I'm taking care of 2 people. Neither one of them are working, and we're living off of my money. So
Mm,
no, never had a positive influence. Not even my older brother. I don't want to speak
wow.
too much into what he's into because of who he works for.
Mhm.
And I don't want to do that. But yeah, I found some things out that I just wasn't cool with. And so
So how do you think not having a positive male figure in your life, or even really a steady mother figure in your life, how do you think what impact do you think that had on you?
it it mm, so it was damaging. It was damaging because the decisions I made, the lack of confidence I had in myself and how to be a man, and how to be upstanding, how to be assertive, realize what I deserved and how I deserved to be treated. I definitely wasn't gonna learn it from my mother. Um, so it it led to a lot of poor decisions
Mm,
because how to be a man, how to do right, how to deal with certain emotions that, I had a lot of stuff that went unchecked, and it just turned into this thing, this spiral of just being completely lost, to tell you the truth. Just
mm,
lost. Who am I? Where do I
mhm.
belong? Will I ever fit in? You know? And it took me well, I'm 34 now, and it took me until I was in my late 20s to finally decide to say, you know what, I'm going to be happy being who I am. I was in my late 20s before I decided to do that. And so it's a
Did you
lifelong
even
battle.
did you even know who you were before then?
No,
You know?
no
Yeah.
clue. No
Wow.
idea.
So you had mentioned earlier that you became a young father at the age of 18. There was obviously some conflict there with the mother of your daughter. I want to protect her, both of them, because we don't want to speak ill will of your daughter or the mother. But you don't have any contact with your daughter, not by your choice, correct?
I have ways of contacting her, but she doesn't reach back out. And
Hmm.
unless I'm coming out of pocket more than what child support is already taken, unless I'm coming out of pocket extra, no,
Hmm.
she didn't want to hear from me. She didn't want to have anything to do with me. Uh, and that's unfortunate. This is all kids are valuable, and important and just special. But with the little girls nowadays, with the influence of social media and the kind of music I know her mother lets her listen to, and the kind of stuff I know she lets her watch on TV, and knowing how her mother is, there's all kinds of crap pouring into her head. And I just wish I
Hmm.
could combat that. I wish I could just show her something else, and
Hmm.
living in a city like Milwaukee. It's not good. So it
Yeah.
wasn't I didn't want this to be this way, but I hadn't seen her when she left after I found out she cheated. When she left, she was 6 months old. I didn't see her until a couple years ago when I went to Milwaukee for her birthday, and she was turning 13. So that caused a lot of other emotional issues, the depression, the suicidal
With
thoughts and
you.
actions. Yes, I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be the kind of guy that had a kid out there that I wasn't taking care of, whether it was my fault or not. I didn't I didn't know what I could do. This is all the way in Milwaukee. I live in Texas. That's not an easy trip to make. It's not cheap either. And unfortunately, I had
Hmm.
a lot of financial issues through especially that portion of my life. Some self-inflicted, some not. But I didn't have the money to just go to Milwaukee like that. And when I did plan to go up there, she had her family waiting up there to jump me at one point. She told me not to come at another point. So it was always these games that she was playing. At one point, she even told me my kid doesn't want me to come. And I found out later that was a lie. She didn't even know I was supposed to be coming. So it's just these
Wow.
games. It's either going to be
Yeah.
all or nothing for her. And
Let
I
me
can't be with her anymore.
let me digress a second off of you, because recently there was, I don't know if you saw it, but there was I think it was like a Facebook live of a guy who actually went live on Facebook, talked about how he killed his girlfriend and was in front of his baby mama's house, telling everybody on Facebook live about his troubles with child custody and drama between the mother of his child and himself. And he basically confessed on there that he was going to kill her and kill himself next. And during the course of the video, you actually hear her door open, the mother's door open, because he's standing in front of her house and he just runs in there and then the video cuts off. Did you see that?
I saw most of it. I think depending on whose page it's on, it cuts off sooner than the end of it. Some people
Right.
said they couldn't post the end part, but yeah, I saw most of it.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Like overall, like the whole child custody thing, especially with fathers, because it seems to really impact fathers the most, because I think mothers are always favored in the court system,
Yeah.
because they think that, you need both parents, but I think they think, well, she's the one that birthed the child. She has custody. She says what goes. What do you think that that's doing to society for them making it so difficult for fathers to be a part of their children's lives? I know a lot of people who have that they might have several baby mamas and they fight to the death to try to get some type of time with their children. What do you
I
think
think it's
about
I
that?
think it's I think it's I think it's causing a lot of damage, because
Yeah.
there's this horrible narrative that dads don't care as much as moms do. Dads aren't as emotionally attached as women are. That's not true. That's not true.
Mm.
There are some very neglectful mothers out there who don't want children. I know one personally. Horrible. I'm not trying to be mean, but she's horrible and she has no shame about it. So it has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with how men are and how women are. Some people are just fit to be parents and some people aren't. A lot of guys are putting forth a lot of valid effort to be with their kids, and sometimes the mothers are toxic. It's all just like with in my situation, it's all or nothing for her. It really is. She doesn't want to admit it, but I know that's what it is. And it's damaging because now look, I don't care who says what. Two men can't properly raise a kid. Two women can't properly raise a kid. It is made the way it is for a reason. Is that God made it that way for a reason? It's a balance that's needed. So what this does is when the father is not an active part of their life, they're being raised by some toxic woman or a toxic male, depending on who's doing it, who's raising the kid. And you know, you have these alpha women that are being bred. Then you got these alpha female rap artists and singers that are pushing this alpha thing. Do it for yourself. You're a woman. Do it for yourself. You don't need a man. Now it's at the point where they don't want a man. Now they're looking at other
Mm-hmm.
women. So it's causing a lot of damage. And in my strong opinion, this whole agenda of alpha woman, weak man, this toxic masculinity narrative, all that crap, just because a man wants to be a real man for a change, that's one of the biggest parts of population control you could think of. Who's going to be able to reproduce when you're dealing with the same sex? Adopting is not the same thing. I'm talking about creating life. So
Mm-hmm.
it seems subtle, but it's really not. And I have a big problem with that. And I just hate when I see these posts. Men don't care. Da, 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 da. Only I'm like, y'all don't know. You guys have no idea the effort I put forth and how many times I got shut down and threatened. And I've been trying. Today, right now, if my kid called me and said, I want to come, I would adjust my whole lifestyle to get her to come here. She knows it. Her mother knows it. That's why she won't let her come. She knows she wouldn't want to go back to Milwaukee. So no, I
That's
don't. I
amazing.
hate that.
Well, I want to jump back again, because you talked about the horrible situation that you were in with your mother's husband, or one of her husbands, that was sexually inappropriate with you. Um, what type of issues did that create for you as a young man, and also even to now as an adult man? What type of obstacles did you have to overcome to just to process through that?
It caused. I was confused, very confused.
Explain that.
You
Explain the
see.
confusion.
Well, you see a lot of women who are raped or sexually assaulted, and a lot of them become promiscuous, and a lot of them are afraid of men. So the response is not always the same. So for me, my response was confusion, and I literally took a nosedive to heavy, heavy pornography. Heavy pornography. I mean, it was everywhere. Printing photos from the library is all on my computer, all in my phone. It was everywhere. But then it confused me as far as my own sexuality. And a lot of people don't know this, because even now some people look at me, oh, you got to be gay. You're too pretty. I'm like, no, have you seen my face lately? I don't think so. So, you know, I keep getting that, and back when you're younger and what he did, it's like, why did he feel the need to do that? Why did he feel so comfortable doing that? Why do these gay guys come up to me when I'm working and say, hey, you know, I was working at a hotel at the time. I was 16. This guy literally came up to me and said, do you mess around with boys? He asked me, do you mess around with boys? And I'm like, no. I said, hell no. But, I hurt his feelings. But then right after that is when that situation happened. So I'm like, why does everybody keep approaching me like I'm homosexual? And so I was confused. I'm like, am I gay? Like, why? This happens for a reason. And so it led to a lot of confusion for me where I did, God's honest truth. I looked at a couple of videos. I'm like, okay, definitely not gay because this is gross. and But that only forced me more into the heterosexual porn, but heavy. I mean, heavy every day, everywhere.
Because you were trying to like either
Yeah, I
feel
was
one
trying to
way or the
prove to
other, and
myself.
then
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, I
gotcha.
was trying to
Okay.
prove to myself that I was straight. I'm like, you like this? You like what you're seeing? You like the women? Trust me, you like this. Don't let what he did to you mess you up. You like what you're looking at, but not only just the pornography, promiscuity. That's a word that a lot of men don't use, but it is what it is. Um, Too many women, too frequently, too many problems. But again, I was trying to prove something to myself. Like, no, you like these women, and I do. I really do. But what he did just sent me into this tailspin. Why? Why did he do this to me if I'm straight? Does he know I'm straight? Am I giving off a vibe? Let me verify this. So yeah, yeah. Tailspin, major
It's
tailspin.
it's crazy that in your mind you were looking for what was wrong with you instead of going, what's wrong with him?
Mhm.
You know what I
Right,
mean? Like there's something you never really like said to yourself, obviously there's something wrong with him that he would be doing this to a young child. You were just constantly searching for where did you go wrong?
right,
Which I think is um something very common with kids who grow up in environments like this,
right,
and it sends them into a tailspin of destructiveness because they equate what's been going on in their life to they deserve it, right?
right,
So why not just keep spiraling down because this is my life, this is where I'm supposed to do, this is where I'm supposed to go. You look at these kids that grow up in low income neighborhoods, join gangs, obviously because they're trying to have that sense of family,
right,
and belonging to something, and they do stuff that they equate to, well, this is how you show loyalty, right?
right.
So yeah, that's really really interesting. There was another thing that you told me that kind of developed possibly out of what happened to you, and it was ADHD,
Hmm.
which was really really. So when did you realize you had a really severe form of ADHD?
Well, the crazy part was, I realized I had a problem. I realized I had a problem growing up because I just could not do the homework. Like when I got home and tried to do the homework, it's either I would forget about it, and I had my locker and my book bag full of homework that I just either forgot about or I couldn't lock in. I had such a hard time locking in. I just gave up on it. And my mother thought I was a class clown. She's like, you just don't want to do anything. You're just like your dad. You don't want to, he was a class clown too. I said, no. I told her straight up. I said, I think it's deeper than that. I think I have a problem. I told her, I said, and it was hard. It was hard to do that, especially with her. She's not nurturing. I said, look, I think I have a problem. I think I have a problem, and I don't know what to do about it. You don't have no problem. You're just like him. I was like, okay. So the issue went unchecked, and later through my life, it just got progressively worse. Where I can't focus at work. I'm inefficient at work. I'm inefficient in life. I'm inefficient in relationships. People don't understand this ADHD affects every aspect of your life, your relationships, how long you last in relationships, how you treat that other person, how you treat your children, everything, every aspect of your life it affects. Um,
Mm.
and it really wasn't until 2 years or 2 or 3 years ago that I actually got officially diagnosed and got medication. So we're talking my entire life coming up short in so many different things. And I saw this clinical trial And I went and said, "Look, hey, look, this is for adults with ADHD, or you suspect you have it." And I said, "Hey, look." So they did it. You know how it goes. They did a full evaluation, took days, and they said, "Yeah, you're officially diagnosed. We think you have a very strong." They said I actually had one of the more extreme cases of ADHD they'd ever seen, ever.
Mm.
And so they gave me Ritalin. Uh, Ritalin is almost worse than ADHD itself, especially when you're coming down off of it, and that's
Wow.
where a lot of trouble came from, because it gives you a very strong high. Like, I feel good, I'm focused, I feel great. But when you come down off of Ritalin, you take a complete nosedive, and your emotions are jacked. Like, you could be very depressed in seconds. Um,
Mm.
so I got off of that and took Adderall, and now I'm weaning myself back off of that because of those side effects. I'm trying to find something all natural, and it's a struggle. I have
Wow.
I struggled to make a video today, and I intended to make one Saturday. Today is Wednesday, and I couldn't seem to make one because I couldn't focus. It's hard.
You know, I will make a suggestion to you. I'm no longer vegan, but I was vegan for 2 years. And the number one thing that I tell everybody about being vegan is if you have depression, if you have anxiety, if you wake up with just a lot of just stuff on your mind all the time, I don't know what it is about being vegan. I don't know if it's like the elimination of so many chemicals. You have to be the right type of vegan, right? You can be an unhealthy vegan, believe it or not, which you can buy processed vegan food. I was a healthy vegan. I ate fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, ate very little processed food. But when I tell you, I was the happiest, like unexplainably annoying to everybody, so peaceful, so calm, happy, genuinely happy. It was when I was a vegan. And every vegan you talk to will tell you that. Every single vegan. So if
Like,
that's
so
something you're
clean
willing to
eating.
try,
Yeah.
clean eating. But vegan is you're not having any type of animal products. So like any food with any type of milk or dairy, anything like that. You're completely eliminating all that stuff. I eventually went back because I became vegan actually on a dare, but I liked it so much that I actually stuck with it. But I always said, okay, if I ever feel like I'm missing something and I want to eat meat or fish or whatever, I'll do it. But I lasted 2 years like that. And then eventually I think gave in to fish or something. I don't remember what the breaking point was for me, but I would go back in a heartbeat because it was,
Right.
gosh, you feel so good. You feel so good. I mean, what's his name? That got shot. Oh my gosh, I can't remember in the hood, but he was a huge, proponent of vegan. He was a rapper in
Oh,
LA.
Nipsey Hussle.
Nipsey Hussle, yeah, he was vegan. Um, so yeah, there's something about it. There's something about it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Somebody's chiming in the chat. That's the truth. So if you really want to try like getting off medication, try vegan.
Yeah, I need to try it because there was
Yeah.
what that clean. It's I do believe in clean eating. It makes a huge difference, especially with all the stuff they're putting in food nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to kind of fast forward the story a little bit. So you eventually decided you wanted to go to school for criminal justice, right? To
Right.
pursue a career in law. And tell me, as you were going to school, you were working, something happened, something big happened in your life. Tell us about that story.
Well, this is definitely something that no one knows about. Uh, yeah, so definitely grateful to be able to tell this. So for me, I finally decided to go to school because I wanted my mother to be proud of me. Right? She never told me that my whole life. So I was like, I want her to be proud of me. So I'm gonna go to school, try to get this career kicked off. And so I go to Kaplan before when they were still Kaplan, and it's time I'm killing it because I had already been studying my whole life, so my grades are just through the roof. Well, I got a little too gung ho, and here comes the ADHD issues. When you have these issues, everything seems like a good idea, you know, even when your common sense wants to tell you don't do that. So in one of my workplaces, one of the people I work with, and I worked there overnight. So, by the time I came in, she was just finishing her shift, but stuff kept coming up missing. I'm just going to shorten the story. Stuff kept coming up missing. Now I got tired of them trying to point the finger at me. It's like, I ain't gonna take nothing out of my check. I didn't do it. They said, well, it's gonna be one of you, both of you are going to pay for it. I'm like, okay, you know what? We're gonna have a problem if you take that out of my check. So I was like, I'm gonna find out what she's been doing. So I was like, well, if it's happening in the kitchen, I bought a little, it looks like the stick of gum. I bought a small camera and I put it in the kitchen. And I couldn't catch her. Couldn't catch her doing anything. So then the hotel decided to put cameras in the kitchen. I was like, great. That helps us a long way. It didn't help because I was watching her wrap stuff in her apron and take it across the hall. So days went by, and here they go again. Stuff is still coming up missing, even after the cameras. What's going on? I was like, I don't know what to. I said, look, she's wrapping stuff in her apron, and they act like they just couldn't find that part of the video. So I was like, fine, I'll find out. Where's she taking it to? She's taking it to housekeeping. So I buy an ink pen. No, I'm sorry, glasses that look like a camera right in the corner. You can buy stuff on Amazon. It's not that hard to find. So
Everybody's leaving the video now to go to Amazon.
Well, no, I'm telling because I don't want anybody to think I got like this super spy, high tech stuff. It's like, no, I don't, I'm not connected or anything like that. And, I didn't have it like that. I was just some old vigilante, maybe idiot, So I did that and I figured no one was going to suspect glasses. They could be one of the old ladies' glasses that works in housekeeping. So I sat them in housekeeping. So I'm going to find out where she's taking this stuff. Why? I don't know. I don't know why I made it my business. I just didn't want to have to pay for it. Well, that's where everything went to hell. They found the camera in housekeeping, and she said that I was trying to spy on her. And what proof did they have that I wasn't? You put in what reason you had to put in housekeeping? To this day, I don't know what was on it. I don't know what she was doing because I never got it back, of course, right? And yeah, next thing you know, they're kicking in my door. It was horrible. The way they came to get me was ridiculous. I was at home, and someone just told me to look out the patio window, and I see this Crown Vic rolling by, and the guy was looking right up at my patio. I'm like, it's like a cop. Yeah, well, I ain't got nothing to worry about. But by the time, because I was working the late night, so by the time I lay down, I hear this banging on my door. I open my bedroom door and look at my front door. I'm like, as I'm looking at the door, next thing you know, wood, the locks, everything is flying right at me, and they batter ram the door down. And I see 8 to 10 cops with rifles pointed at me, tell me to get on the ground.
Damn, for that?
Right. Extreme.
Wow.
But I still love cops.
Wow.
They went too far, but I still love police. See, it's a lesson to be learned. This flag means everything. So, yeah, they went too far, way too far. Had me on the ground, hollering at me, kneeing my back, and talking all kinds of crap. And, so they take me down there. And I remember the lead detective. I heard him say, take him downtown, but don't book him. Don't book him. Just take him downtown. I'm going to come talk to him first. I never saw him again. As soon as I get downtown, they put me on suicide watch, check all my clothes, and I'm sitting in this cell with no clothes for I don't know how long I was in there. Didn't eat. It was cold, freezing cold. And I never saw him again. He never questioned me. They booked me immediately. So now I'm like, well, this is not going anywhere near the direction it should have gone. The way y'all came and got me and knew how fast you booked me when he told you not to. They ended up reassigning him. I never saw him again. So I was out for 2 months. I started working at a different job. I was making good money. And I never forget the day that I was reporting. I had to report until the court date. I never forget the day I got a call from the person I was reporting to and told me they filed because they were investigating. So they went ahead and filed on you. I was like, okay, I know what that means. He said, yeah, you gotta turn yourself in tomorrow. I'm like, okay, let's just see what happens. Right. What did they have? They took my computer. They took everything. So they scraped my computer, didn't find anything. They took every piece of technology I had, couldn't find anything, of course, because it ain't like I make a living doing this. And eventually I went through the whole court process. I sat in county for 2 months. I was in county for 2 months. And I just prayed the entire time. The entire time I was in there, I just prayed, and I knew I was in there for a good reason. No matter what my reasoning was, I knew I shouldn't have done what I did. And I knew I had a bigger problem.
What was your prayer?
I said, Lord, I need you to work this out whatever way you see fit. I said, I told him, God, straight up, as much as I would love to go home and get out of here and have you take this away, I know I'm here for a reason. So as long as I'm in here, I want you to do your will through me. When I tell you that God used me for amazing things in county, it almost brings me to tears because of what he used me for. You had guys that have been in there 4, 5, 6 times each who had major felonies they were facing, major time they were facing, and they came to me. Now, it wasn't like this when I first got there, but after 2 months, all I did was read my Bible. I didn't talk to anybody. I just sat there and read my Bible all day long. People start coming to me, say, "Man, can you pray for me? I'm getting ready to go to court and I don't know what's going to happen." I said, "Cool. What are you facing?" I got two felonies. I got this now. Okay, cool. So I started speaking over them, praying over them. Most of them would come back. The felonies were knocked down to misdemeanors, or some of them just got their stuff dismissed. I'm not even joking. I saw people's cases turn around. It had nothing to do with me. It had to do with the faith I was putting forth and how I asked God to use me to change people's lives. I had people showing up to the prayer circle who would laugh at us as they were walking by the prayer circle weeks before. They sat down. One of the worst people in there, fighter, angry all the time. Family hated him. He hated his family. This guy showed up to the prayer circle the day before he went to court and prayed and cried with us. And he got time, but he changed. I believe he changed that day. So I asked for God to use me to do his will, however long I was going to be in there. So my court date came. They initially offered me 14 months, right? Trying to get the focus. They initially offered me 14 months. And I said, no, I'm not going to take that. It's my first time. Y'all should be coming at me with 6 months. I know the minimum. Too cocky, right? I should have consulted God on that. No. I said, no, I'll plead open and let the judge decide. That didn't go well. They gave me 20 months with 2 months time served. That's it. There's no appeal. There's no let's talk some more. And that's it. You get what you get. Next thing you know, I'm shipped off to an actual prison unit. They shave my head. They take everything I have. And I came by toiletries for I don't know how long. That's the hardest thing. You smell bad. You look bad. Wow. You feel bad. Yeah. That's wow. That. And what ended up happening. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead and finish.
Well, what ended up happening, the same thing in there. Same exact thing in there. I go in there, I'm in general population, and I'm miserable. I'm depressed. I'm falling apart. And I said, Lord, I don't want to be here, you know? And so I said, Lord, I just got to, however long I'm going to be here, use me the way you use me in county. Same thing. Have me do your will. Well, I asked to be in the faith-based dorm. They call it the God pod. They're supposed to send me over there. They didn't do that. They didn't send me there. They had me in general population, where it was homosexual activity going on, people smoking crack, people fighting, all kinds of mess, scary mess. I could feel the evil in there. And so they wouldn't send me. I kept writing to the warden. They wouldn't send me, right? Let me tell you how they end up sending me. I'm inside what they call the cool room because it's summertime. So I'm trying to stay cool, right? To keep from overheating. This guy storms in there. And this guy used to sit on my bunk. I didn't know that was a homosexual thing. He used to sit on my bunk and tell me stories. I didn't care to hear the stories. Next thing you know, he storms in the room that I'm in. I said, "What'd you say?" I said, "What?" I have no idea what's going on. I said, "I didn't say anything. What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, what'd you say?" I said, "I have no idea." Before I can get that last idea out, 3-piece. It was a 2-piece and a biscuit, actually. Just 2 right here and 1 right here. 2-piece and a biscuit. Wow. Caught me 3 quick times. And through that fight, they sent me to isolation. And the warden said, "Hey, what happened?" I told him what happened. I said, "This what happened." He said, why are you even in there?" I said, "I'm trying to go to the faith base." So he sent me to faith base. That's how I ended up in there through a fight that wasn't my fault. So for the next 15 months.
Funny?
You said
go
what?
Ahead. Next 15 months, what else?
What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, isn't it funny? Like, I always say this too, like when you pray to God, people always like think about prayers like, okay, I'll ask for it, and that's exactly how he'll give it to me, right? But see, you got to be really specific with your prayers because you say something to God like, use me however you want to use me. That's up to him, okay? And it's funny that you ended up in a ward that was full of almost all your old demons. You know what I mean? It was almost like he was going, nope, I put you in here to deal with this. I don't feel like you're done dealing with this. Right?
Yeah. It was scary. Yeah. It was scary because I'm like, what am I going to do in here, dude? Like, this is insane. So he sent me to faith base, and I didn't want to be there anymore because the people in there were fake. I mean, fake. So For 15 months, I was in there. And by the time I left there, I basically ran the entire, how many people were in there? 208 total in the building. It was 52 man pods. I was running my 52 man pod and basically running the one next to us. There were two state jails, two
Mhm.
prison side. By the time I left, I had the respect of everybody. The guards, I can say this now, it's been years. I had guards bringing me Taco Bell, McDonald's, and sodas in there because of how I worked, my work ethic. I wasn't sleeping. I would stay up all night cleaning for the guards. And that's how I was eating. Because my son
Mhm.
was unfortunately born while I was in there. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
So I missed that.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah. And it tore me up. I missed my daughter's birth because they were in another state. Now I miss my son's birth because I got in trouble. I still think about that. Thank God he doesn't remember. Of course, he's being born, but thank God he doesn't know anything about it. So at this point, I make sure I do everything the right way, so he'd never have to experience that. You know. Um, but yeah, I missed that, and so while I was in there, I learned a trade. That's how I went to school to learn the AB stuff. I said, if I'm gonna come out of here, I'm gonna
Mhm.
come out better. I have to. This cannot all be for nothing. So that was my journey in there, praying over people, guards looking out for me, all kinds of favors. I mean, all kinds of favors that people weren't, no one else could get, because of how I
And
conducted myself.
did you do motivational speaking as well in prison?
uh, oh yeah, I did. They would have me come in front of the congregation, because we would have chapel, 2 3 times a week. We had a prayer circle every night and in the mornings, yeah, within the dorm. And they would use me mainly to do it. And I didn't know what.
Mm.
This is why now when I make a video, I don't write it down. I don't write down what I'm gonna say. I don't even run over it in my head. I just say it. So that's where I learned to do that more. They had me come up there and give my testimony. I'm like, why am I giving my testimony again? Again? Like by now everybody knows it. But I would do it for the volunteers and for the people who didn't know me. But every time I did it, it was different. I would tell the same story, but the emotion behind it was different. I would reach someone differently,
Mhm.
and my positivity is what will reach people. Like, man, this guy, yeah, pretty positive for being in here. Yeah, you got to be. You're not in here for life. It's not a death
Right.
sentence. Do what you have to do and go
Yeah.
home better. And so that was my thing, to come out better than where I went in. And so they would have me come in front of the congregation and speak. And the last time I spoke, right, it's like 2 weeks before I got out. I got out January 27th, 2017. So we're coming up on 5 years. And the last thing I did before I got out, the last testimony, I got up there and I just spoke. I mean, I spoke strongly. I had people jumping out of the seat. I had people crying, like people who were doing life, crying with hopes of them. It moves me to think about it even now, because of what God used me to do. And it's almost like I wish I had that same confidence and respect for myself earlier on, to realize I was capable of more, because people don't realize how important self-image is. It's everything. We have to realize we are God's children. We are not what we have done. We are not our addiction. We are not our problems. We are children of the Most High. And realizing who you are in Christ is everything. That is your identity. And through being in there, through going through that, through losing everything, starting over, even after I got out, starting over, the stain of being a black felon, feeling like a statistic, that's not easy. But when you realize who you are and what God can do, despite what the state says, despite what this job says, despite what your record says, or how society looks at you, that should be your strength. That is your strength. Knowing who you are in Christ, and that He is so powerful that none of the other stuff even matters. Because He can do things so great for you and through you and with you, that it will seem like all this was meant to be. And it really wasn't. He's just that good. And so for me, I tell myself this every day: I believe, I speak, I declare, and I receive the blessings that God has for me. the miracles that God has for me and the breakthroughs that God has for me, I have to do it every day. Because I get the door slammed in my face all the time. Workplaces, people, even people who know me personally who can't cut me a break because of my record. And I'm almost 5 years removed from it. But society is telling you, no, not yet. You haven't suffered enough yet. This is why we need reform. We need reform for the people who have gotten out, who are trying to live life the right way, as opposed to letting them feel like they'll never get over it. They'll never get past this stain. They're always going to be the stain on society. Some people are literally trying to do their lives and live their lives the right way. But because they can't go get this job or live in this apartment or get this car, they have to go back to the streets. They have to go back to what they know because they can't live life good anymore because society says you haven't suffered enough. We need reform. We need to do more for people who have records and are doing the right thing. And so for me, telling this story is important to me because that's one of the next ventures that I'm going to try to attack. And people have to know why it's so important to me. The same thing with the hashtag look up about child trafficking prevention, because that's important to me. Not only what happened to me, but what I witnessed. I have a soft spot for these things. So I know that God has big things in store for me. I just can't lose sight of it because I know what happens when I do that. Case in point, where I ended up, that didn't have to happen. It should have never happened. But I was so disconnected from Christ, all in my emotions, depressed about not seeing my daughter, depressed about being this, horrible self-esteem, all that just came to a head, and I did not care anymore. And that's where people can never understand. No matter who I spoke to, no one ever understands this about me. What I did had everything to do about how I was feeling about myself. Well, I don't see how it ties in. You don't have to. When the devil is on your shoulder, you're susceptible to anything. When you don't put Christ first. That's why I did what I did. It doesn't tie into emotions, but it ties into making a poor decision because I wasn't spiritually connected to Christ.
So, well, first of all, I want to thank you for your vulnerability. Everything you just said was so beautiful, and I could tell from the heart, because anytime somebody gets emotional, and I'm one of those people, it's because it's coming from in here, and that's the best place to speak from. Do you think that what do you think was what the difference is between you and how you grew up and any other kid that's out there on the street, whether they're gangbanging, committing crimes, or just getting in trouble in school? What would you say to those people that are in that situation, whether they're a child or they're an adult, and they're thinking, what's the point? Why should I care about myself? Nobody cares about me. Why should I care? What would you say?
They honestly, I would tell them, I would try to introduce them to unconditional love, because they're the only one out there who's ever going to love you regardless of what you do or don't do is Christ. And me personally, and it seems far-fetched, I would encourage them to get into the word. I would get into the word with them. There is so much enlightenment by doing that. I mean, your whole world is different. How you see things are different. Your inside, everything inside that comes out is different. Just by taking a few minutes to get into the word. I mean, it's almost immediate. And I would just tell them to find something about yourself that you love. It's not even about what everybody else thinks. What do you love about yourself? Dig deep and figure that out. That's real important too. Self-esteem is very big. And even if you don't say I'm the most beautiful thing in the world, you have to love something about yourself. You have to find something. You have to. It's very crucial. So if I was speaking to a group of kids, that's what I would tell them. And if I was literally standing in front of a group of kids, I'd say, look, hey, you right there. What do you love about yourself? I would make them think. Because we all have good qualities. We're all good at something. We all have talents, whether it's undiscovered or not. Let that be your confidence. So, you know what? I can play an instrument. He can't. Don't shun that person, but you're special. You can do something he can't. He can do something you can't. We're all special in our own way. So find that one thing that you can be confident in, even if it's just one, and let that be your confidence, and definitely getting to know Christ more. That's the number one thing.
Yeah. One of my most favorite people in the world, and poets, writers, Maya Angelou, always said, love conquers all. Love is the answer to everything. And it's so true because even if you yourself are not receiving love and you're not quite sure how to love, because some people just don't know what love feels like, um, it's as simple as seeing somebody and just appreciating them and saying, "Oh, you look great," or, "You have a great smile," or just being kind. That's where it all starts, is kindness. But also, I want to say, with somebody that has an incredible story like yourself, listening to your life, because it seemed like you were constantly praying to God to say, "Tell me, show me what this means, guide me to wherever this is taking me." Is you have to look at your life and you have to say, what is this trying to tell me? It's not just some weird thing that happens that, you walk outside and, you see a red car pass by, and then 2 hours later, you're in a car accident with a red car. Every single thing is showing you something. And when you start to look at life like that, when you start to really pay attention to why this person came into your life, why this situation happened, why you're having this thought, but at the same time being so grateful for it all, the good times, the hard times, whatever it is, it all that stuff matters so much, and it really begins to open up your mind to
Right.
greater possibility, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I fully
That's
believe it.
awesome.
Yeah. But
Yeah. Oh,
I
right
do
wing
appreciate
Nate
you
is in here.
bringing me here for sure. Hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely appreciate you bringing me on, because I mean, like I said, these are things that no one, maybe a couple people on my platform, people that I know personally know, but definitely not as many people as I hope watch this, because like I said, before I get to that next step in what God wants me to do, my next part of my venture, this needed to be told so people can understand and
Mhm.
help support me in that. And I even talked to Oliver about this offline. This wasn't in the video, and I asked him, how would I go about telling this? He said, make a video, just tell your story, just be honest and just tell your story. I was like, I want to, but I don't know how to do it. And once I saw your interview, I was like, you know what, this has got to be the way, and I do appreciate it, you know. But you're exactly right.
I was the chosen one.
Yeah, honestly, hey, I feel honored. I really do. I do admire your work and what you do, and yeah,
Oh,
for sure. But yeah,
I feel
like you said,
honored because for you to be sharing this,
yeah,
I feel really honored too. So,
no, I appreciate you. Like, just like you said, everything shows you something else, you know. And for
yeah.
me, and I don't want to make you drag it on longer, but for me, I, one thing I'm still trying to put together what this means is my mother. I told you my mother was toxic, right?
Mm,
One memory I still have a hard
mhm.
time getting past, that she still tries to justify to this day, which is why I don't talk to her. I lost my virginity at 15, and when she found out, she treated me like I was in prison. So I was technically my first time in prison was in my own house, because she took everything I owned, made me sleep in the laundry room next to the washer and dryer, and it was freezing cold in there with only a fitted sheet, no other sheet, no pillow, no blanket, nothing, just sleeping on the floor for about 2 or 3 weeks. And I could eat if she says I could eat, which was probably once every couple of days. She said, "You gonna know what it's like to be in prison." And I didn't understand that. I didn't equate that. So that's another area I forgot to tell you this before. That's another area where my unhealthy
Wow.
sexual desires, that's where it went, because I was equating sexual desires to trouble. Like,
Pat.
where is it
Hmm.
healthy? Like, is it healthy or not to have these thoughts, to have these feelings? So she made me sleep in the laundry room on the floor, took everything I had, and she tried to castrate me. She got a pair of
Oh.
scissors and came right after me.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like,
Oh my
"Don't
gosh.
ever do that to me again." I'm like, what did I do to you? What did I do to you? This was consensual between me and her, and you found out. What did I do to you? I didn't know what I'd done wrong. So yeah, that when I did talk to her about that after years, she tried to justify it or act like she doesn't remember. That's why I don't talk to her now. Either she justifies or act like she don't remember.
Mm,
And I'm like, no, you still have stuff to deal with. I can't have you taking me farther. I can't have you sending me in reverse. I've grown and I have to stay that way. You're going to send me in reverse. You're toxic. So I don't deal with her. I can't. I love my mother, always will,
wow.
but I know what she's about. So God has a lot of work to do on her, and she has to let him do it because I have nothing to say until then.
Wow. So you are now married and
Mhm.
you have a child. Tell me, with such a toxic mother and father, you know, dynamic, what were you looking for when you went and chose the woman you were going to marry?
It it wasn't so much what I was looking for. Well, it was what I was looking for. Patience, patience. Um, well, of course, the general loyalty and things like that. But what made me say this is it was the understanding. A lot of people had known about, not a lot, but a few people had known about my past, as far as abuse, as far as problems, um, and judge me. I, I can count on one hand how many people know about the story with my stepdad. And when they would get mad at me, they would come out and call me FAG. I'm like, you're going to use that against me? A horrific story like that, you're going to throw that back at me. And she was one of the very few people, if not the only person, who had known all about my past, all about my problems, all about my issues, and never judged me, never threw it in my face, never made me feel like less than. And I was like, you know what? I got to hold on to this. I got, I got to see where this goes. And even through all that, still putting up with all that kind of stuff, and then still getting in trouble, all these issues, all my issues, and then we conceived, and now I'm going. I'm
Mm,
got taken away, and even trying to stick by through all that, bringing my son every Sunday, and counting the weeks. It that took strength. It took a lot of strength. And people like, oh, how come you're not having her send you money? I said, because we have a kid now. The kid's born. She's gonna need all that money. I don't want her to send me anything. I don't care if I don't eat. Don't put any more money on my books. And that's when God started giving me favor through these guards, And
mm.
I'll say this: if you stay humble, you stay in faith, everything always works out. It may not work out as fast as you like for it to, or in the way that you think it should.
Yep.
But if you tell God it is yours to do with what you want to do, not what I want, not what I desire, not the way I see things, you do things your way, and that's all I want. You have to let him have it, because you try to do things, it's never going to work if you do it your way. So that is my life
That's the
now.
truth.
That's my life now, doing things his way and allowing him to guide me.
Well, that sounds pretty incredible. And I love that you found somebody that believed in you, um, to the extent that, she didn't care about your past and, you know, just accepted you as you were, which is, I think, such an important thing because I think at the end of the day, everybody, like, it's funny, like, whenever you hear somebody say, and this is actually one of the questions I'm going to ask you at the end, but whenever you hear somebody say, what would you like God to tell you, when you come through the pearly gates, and everybody always says like good job or well done, because we all just want to be okay with like with what we did in life, right? We all just want that acceptance. We all just want to know that we just did okay, not great, not fantastic, that we just did at least okay.
Right.
So I think that that is an amazing thing. It's amazing that you have come out, and I know you're still working on yourself, but you have come out so strong and well adjusted and open to just continuously growing as you have, because I think a lot of people who have been in similar situations like yours, it has ruined them,
Hmm.
and it continues to ruin them, and they'll probably die with that weight on them, which
Yeah,
is terrible.
it is. And that's one
So
thing people
good for
tell me.
you.
I've had counselors tell me I'm either lying about never doing drugs, or or I'm burying my addiction. They're because they says no way you haven't done drugs with everything you've gone through. I said I haven't. I haven't even tried weed before. I'm scared to. So no, I wasn't gonna let it manifest into two things. I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna allow it to let me be an addict of anything, and I wasn't gonna
Mhm.
let me blame society or my mother or my upbringing or the legal system for the outcomes of my life. If some of those things played a role, However, I still had decisions to make, and I had to choose how I allow those things to manifest. So I wasn't gonna
Mm,
do the blame game. That's why I have this flag back here. Every decision I made, I made. And yeah, there has some situations where the legal system did some things they shouldn't, but it wouldn't have happened if I didn't put myself in that situation to begin with. And so this flag, even though I cannot live this career anymore, it means everything to me. And so now I could just have to change lives in another way, fight for justice in another way. And that's why I have this platform.
that's awesome. That's awesome. You're awesome. I love it. I love it. And it's the same thing that came at the end of me and Sudi's interview was it's all about choice. We you can say you don't have money, you don't have a good household, but we all have choice. It can never be taken away.
Hmm.
Even when you're in prison, you have choice, you know? So
Right.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so while I am going to wait, if anybody has any questions that they want to ask Daryl, put them in the chat. I'll read them. I want to thank who was this? DA who gave us the 1111 super chat. I love that so much. But I always like to close these interviews with something fun. So I'm going to take you through some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with anything, just rapid fire. All right.
All
What
right.
is your favorite word?
Uh, putrid. Putrid. That's a funny word to me. I have no idea why. It just sounds funny.
Okay. What is your least favorite word?
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Not putrid. Colloquialism. Sorry. I don't know how to confuse it.
Oh,
Colloquialism, my favorite word.
colloquial.
Yeah,
Oh my
colloquialism. I like
lord.
that one. That's pretty cool.
I'm
I
not
like
even
that
going to
one.
try that.
Yeah, I like that one way better. Um, I so my least favorite word. I had to be. I hate to get horrible here. The P word. I don't like that word. I don't like that word.
Like referring to the woman's body part.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I hate that word. I hate that word.
What turns you on? And this doesn't have to be sexual. This can be anything that turns you on.
Conversation. I love good strong conversation.
Awesome. Cool. What turns you off?
Laziness. I can't stand
Okay.
laziness.
Okay. What sound or noise do you love?
The water. I love the sound of water for sure. Like
What
the
sign are
ocean and
you?
things like
This is
that.
not one of the questions.
Sagittarius.
What astrology? Me too.
Oh yeah,
Wait,
November
you're a fire
23rd.
sign. What the heck?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, mine's tomorrow. Hey, you guys, everybody wish me happy birthday in the chat. Tomorrow's my birthday.
Hey, all right.
Drop a happy birthday.
Yeah, you got to
And if
put
you
your.
want to if you want to oh, if you want to super chat me a birthday present, go ahead and do so right now.
Yeah, do that. Hey, for sure. Hey, load her up.
Let's see. What noise do you hate?
Uh, ooh, screaming. I can't stand hearing children screaming. Even if they're playing, I can't stand it.
Okay, gotcha. What is your favorite curse word, if you have one? Don't front, Daryl. I know you're a Christian and all, but we all curse.
Definitely the F word. I love it. It's so powerful.
Okay.
It's very powerful.
See, he's a Christian and he loves that.
Yeah, it's a strong one.
What what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Well, besides a police officer, um, I would love to be a dancer. Dancing is my number one passion. I
Like
used to,
okay, I was like an
yeah,
exotic
yeah.
dancer.
No, I couldn't do that. No, no, I need a whole lot more gym time for that. No, no, no. I used to be a choreographer, and so I would love to be able
Oh,
to
that's
open my own
awesome.
studio. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. You should do that. That's so cool. Um, what profession would you never ever do?
Oh, there's a lot of them, but my main one, I wouldn't want to be a doctor. There's too many things that can go wrong with that, especially a surgeon. More specifically, a surgeon. I wouldn't want to do that.
A surgeon. Okay. And last but not least, what would you like to hear God say when you enter the pearly gates?
Hey, here's that vacation you've been waiting to take. I haven't ever been able to take a vacation in my life, so yeah, here's that vacation.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Okay. So I saw, did you like that? Did you like the questions?
That was cool. I remember we did
Yeah.
that in school. James Lipton, right, from Actor Studio.
Yes.
Yes, that's my guy
Yes.
there. That's
I'm a
my guy.
huge James Lipton. I love
Yeah.
him. So that's where I
What did
got it.
he pass from? He had something. I don't remember. Cancer, something like that.
I mean, I think he had, I want to say it was like liver cancer,
That was sad.
something
It was
like
so
that. I don't
sudden.
know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I know. Thank you, Wendy Ward, for the $20, well, $19.99 super chat for my birthday. I appreciate it. You're the best. Okay, so this was a question that came in. What is your favorite verse in the Bible and why?
Ooh. Um, I would say this tattoo would have Romans 8:18. For the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us. That's my life right there.
Wow, that's why it's your favorite. It
Yeah.
wraps up your whole existence pretty much, huh?
Yes, for
All
sure.
right. So we got a lot of Bible questions here. What Bible character do you relate to the most? What character in the Bible do you relate to the most?
David. David is my favorite character in the Bible. That's why I named my son David, because of his faith. David was a great man of faith, and even though he fell, uh, you couldn't. He just his faith was everything. I mean, he was King David because of the confidence he had in Christ and everything God used him to do. And it's just, man, that's my favorite character for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see here.
I think one
Oh,
was a
okay.
verse. I
Sorry,
think
that
one
was
was
just
yeah.
coming.
I think one was the actual verse. That's what came through. Was Leviticus 17:10.
Was it? Oh, somebody put the yes, 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 because it puts everything together for me. That's what this guy John said.
See, I'm not sure what that one is. I should know, but I don't.
Yeah. And then Grogu said David is in the lineage of Jesus Christ too.
He is. Yep.
See, I am not, listen, I'm telling y'all right now, if you follow me, do not ask me to quote out of the Bible. It's just not my thing. I don't remember Bible verses unless they're ones that like I just constantly repeat. I'm so bad at remembering those things, but
Yeah.
yeah, don't ever try to put me on the hot seat. Okay, so by the way, shout out to shout out to Right Wing Angel. If y'all don't subscribe to him on Instagram and YouTube, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I believe it is
Yeah.
the Right Wing Angel on Instagram and YouTube. So make sure. Daryl also did an interview with him as well, or it was vice versa. He went on your channel.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome guy.
Yeah,
Super humble.
yeah,
Super cool.
and awesome guy. So he said, if you could debate any liberal celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, godly. Well, I wouldn't do AOC. She doesn't have enough mental capacity to last. I would say that girl's just dumb. I would say between Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh
Oh
my God. You really want to torture yourself.
yeah, because they're so media driven. It's just ridiculous. They are walking CNN headlines. They have no idea what they're talking about. So yeah, it'd be easy to
Yeah.
debate them. Shut them down real fast.
You know, Whoopi, like she says some outlandish stuff. I don't like completely hate her just because I've always been a Whoopi fan, like of her comedy and all this stuff. But Joy is the most idiotic person I have ever heard. And I'm like, how do you keep your job? Is what I
Right.
want to know.
Yeah. How do you go around without a styrofoam helmet? Being that dumb. How do you go anywhere without a helmet on? It'd blow my mind.
Or just that she sits on the panel. Like sometimes I'm just like, Whoopi, are you gonna like get her or what? Because like sometimes she'll say stuff and I'm like, how is Whoopi even putting up with this? You know?
Right.
Crazy,
Yeah. You know
crazy,
what?
crazy.
This
Um,
did I miss? Oh, right wing.
Nothing.
But you know what? I'm gonna make it drag on longer, but this is actually pretty fun because you'll be a great pan. we're all talking to Suni about creating a show, and you guys were talking about it too.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun. Awesome. Just hitting just random topics like that.
Oh, on the panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be fun. I'm actually going to be going on Be the Change, which is another YouTube channel that
yeah.
Suni does.
Yeah.
She's on that panel there as well. They invited me yesterday, so I think next week I'm going to do a show with them as well.
That'll be fun.
That should
I'm
be
trying.
fun.
I'm trying to work my way on the Tatum's channel. I'm working my way up there.
Yeah, maybe he's listening right now. Shout out Tatum. I mean, hey, last time Tatum joined a live of mine, he dropped me, I think, a $300 super chat. Like, he's a real one. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's.
Like, I was.
No, just kidding.
No, he's a really good guy. I love Corinne and Brandon so much. I think they're amazing. But if anybody has, oh wait, Truth will set you free on Tuesday. Is that what it is? I don't know what that means. Truth will set you free. Anyways, go ahead and give everybody on here your Instagram and website. I have also put it down below in the description box of this video, but go ahead and just give them a rundown of where they can find you on social media.
Okay, so you can find so go to my website. You don't need a www. Just literally just type in unifier.tv in your web browser. It'll take you right to the website because you pay for the URL and all that kind of stuff. So type in unifier.tv in your web browser. It'll go straight to my site. Literally, you could just put unifier.tv in your Google search and it'll come up with my Shopify store, which I have. You will find my Spotify and Apple podcast, which is called The Unified Front. So the Unified Front podcast is on Apple, Google, Spotify, all the Stitcher, all over the place. And of course, my IG is unifier.tv. My Facebook is unifier TV without the dot. I mean, some places have the dot, some places don't take it, but it's all pretty much the same on all my platforms. If you can't find it with the dot, take it out and you'll find me. But it's unified TV everywhere. Yeah. Facebook too.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. And I'm just going to share because somebody was asking. Let me just share my screen really quick. Somebody was asking on what other show I was going to be on. I don't have the dates confirmed yet, but it's this one right here. #BeTheChange on YouTube. And this is actually Suni's. Suni's a regular on this one.
Yeah, I watched that too.
So you can catch her on there. She's amazing on there. The only woman amongst a bunch of guys, which is always fun. But Suni's like different because she's not really like, I mean, she's a girl, but like she doesn't think like a girl. Speaking of Suni, because somebody addressed this in the comments earlier, R.I.P. Suni. Suni, as I mentioned in my interview with her the other day, has been going through just heinous just Instagram bullying, and it's gotten as far as now they have obtained her social security number. They have sent stuff to her husband's work. I mean, it is really getting bad. And Suni decided that she was going to jump off of social media because it just wasn't worth it. But at the same time, she's beating them at their own game, and I don't want to say too much, but Suni's alive. Suni's alive. Suni's okay. She's not really dead. The RIP was like RIP to her Instagram, because she's probably not going to be on there as much anymore. Doesn't mean she's not going to come back, because y'all know Suni, she can never stay away too long, but her family is her main priority and their safety is her main priority. So for right now, RIP Suni. So let's see here. So somebody asked a question: what are different events young conservatives can get involved in? I kind of think it depends on where you live, number one.
Yeah, honestly.
But I think, like you can become part of different groups that they have online. Obviously, they have, chapters of Blexit and Lexit, and, depending on where you fit in there. They have, what else is there?
There's
I mean, I'm sure like every
Turning
city has
Point
some
and
type of conservative groups.
yeah.
Turning Point.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Turning Point's in a lot of places. Um, there's a lot of them really. Just what PragerU? I'm not sure if they do chapters, but I mean, I know Turning Point has chapters in different states,
Yeah.
and Blexit does. It's really honestly not hard to find, but it might be easier to just do that. Just maybe Google it, or maybe go to those organizations you do know about and see if there's a chapter in your area, and there isn't. Most of those places have spots on the website where you can request one. And then at that point, they'll reach out to you and say, "Hey, you know what? We don't have one out there. Would you like to help us start one up?" They'll call you.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with Blexit. They're actually pulling for me to try to do the Dallas area, and I'm trying to make sure I have all the time I need to do that. So I haven't committed to it yet because I want to make sure I do it and do it right. But they've been
Yeah.
calling me to run this Dallas area.
Oh, yeah. So, real quick, oh, this girl's in Massachusetts, but if you're in Texas, I was going to talk to you about this. Russo has the Great American Summit that's coming up, and it's actually going to be here in Las Colinas, and he invited me to it. So, I'll get information for you. And I'll also post it online on my social media
Oh,
so
Las
anybody
Vegas.
else who's
Okay, cool.
interested
Yeah,
can
yeah,
attend.
right around the corner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The other thing I would recommend Grogu is go on Facebook and search up groups in your area that are conservative groups, patriot groups. It doesn't necessarily have to be conservative, but just patriot groups.
Yeah,
Because believe it or not, there are Democrats that are not as crazy as some of these other Democrats, and they're still very patriotic. But they lean Democrat. Um, and get involved in things like flag waves in your city. I've been to a few like vaccine mandate protests in my area, or just these groups that like to post up on the side of the road and wave their flags at cars and just be patriotic. If you're brave enough, start it on your own.
yeah.
I do every Saturday I do a 5 mile walk in my area, and it's called the Patriot Walk. I have a whole website on Instagram, or a site on
Yeah, I
Instagram
just came
called the
across that
Patriot
the other
Walk
day.
Group.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we invite anybody and everybody who wants to come. Doesn't matter who you voted for. If you love this country, you're welcome to come, get some exercise in. We talk, network. It's really a great time. We did a Second Amendment walk with our weapons as well, and that was pretty fun. So yeah, that was cool. Good question. Sorry. Let's see. Classical liberals. Yeah, that's the word. Um, she just said, I need positive people. I'm not a church person, nor am I a club person, so it's hard to find a place to fit in. Yeah, I mean, like these things are not necessarily club things, but like, you could just join in on activities. I know Blexit when they come here, and Blexit stands for the Black Exit from the Democratic Party. FYI, you don't have to be black to join it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to be black if you just want to volunteer. But they have, find Blexit in your state. They post events, like they'll have just like mixers and barbecues, like where you could just meet other people, like-minded people. I mean, I would start there.
Yeah,
So,
and also get on there's an
anyways,
app, there's a one called Nextdoor. I know it's used a lot out here. I'm not sure if they're
oh,
used in other
good.
states, but you get on Nextdoor,
Yeah,
they actually have a lot of community events, like even at the local library around the corner from me, and these women's groups. A lot of people do organize in there too. And sometimes Meetup, you gotta be careful with Meetup though. You just gotta read all that carefully.
hmm,
But there are apps that specialize in people who form groups, want to form groups, and you can meet like-minded folks. But yeah.
yeah. That's where our Patriot Walk group, we have a group there on Nextdoor, but it's private.
Hmm.
Because Nextdoor can get a little crazy also. Like we literally had people reporting us for being patriotic because they said that we were trying to start another insurrection.
God, people
So
never even used that
I
word
got
until the
banned.
January
Yeah,
6th thing. People didn't even know what that word was.
I know. I
God.
know. I know. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But they literally like banned my account. They banned my address from even having an account on Nextdoor. I had to like fight to get it back.
That's totally
And then I
ridiculous.
just took it private. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that you have to do that. But I mean, I invited even the people that were like hating and saying that we were insurrectionists. I was like, come out and see for yourself. Come walk with us.
Right.
Come see that we're not that bad. And we actually do have some people like Democrats that join the walk, and they're just like, You Trump people aren't so bad.
What?
Like, we're not. We're fun.
Right.
So funny. Anyways, well, I thank you so much for having the courage to come on here, share your story. I hope it felt good. Did it feel good?
It felt really good. It was scary at first because I'm like, man, I'm really gonna tell this story tonight. Oh, it's either gonna go one way or another. People are gonna judge me or they're gonna love me more. So at this point, I don't care because I have a purpose and I have to walk in that purpose. So whoever doesn't want to be around, you won't see me at the next level. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe God will extend more favor on you
Yeah.
because now you have shared the shame of everything has been lifted, right? Like
Yeah. It
you've
is a
told the
relief.
world. It's out
Yeah.
here on YouTube forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good. The more you
Yeah.
share it, the better it
Yeah.
is. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I can tell, like, from the comments we were getting, everybody really loved hearing your testimony, your story. Um, I plan to have you back again. We're going to see where you're at when things start to
Yeah.
just kick off for you. Please, guys, make sure to go subscribe to his YouTube channel, support that, share this video with somebody who you think could really just hear this and somebody who might relate to it. Um, and that's all we've got. So we're going to close out this video. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Uh, thank you for all your positivity and support. And yeah, just keep your eyes open for the next thing. I really feel like God's getting ready to elevate me to some things, and I'm making strong connections. Mo here. ABL follows me. Tatum just started following me a couple days ago, and that's awesome. Right wing. I'm really making some strong connections with a lot of awesome people, and I'm just gonna do everything I can with you guys, for you guys, and we're gonna build each other up. So yeah, sky's the limit for me. So you just stay tuned.
That's right. Awesome. Well, stay on here. I'm going to end this live. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
All right.